Welcome! It's time for more Cuphead. You always have to say it with a question mark at the end for some reason. Cuphead. And yeah, today I'm going to be just kind of reviewing the last few fights of the game because, believe it or not, I finally managed to beat Cuphead. That's right, I finally beat Cuphead. And here I am fighting Beppy the Clown. And I'm going to be commentating on these fights after the fact, not actually playing it currently. And yeah, so I was finally able to beat Cuphead. It took me a couple of years. It's an extremely hard game, like legitimately very hard. I did have fun with it though. I had fun with it, and I like the art style. So I definitely approve of Cuphead. So how did this come together? How did I finally beat Cuphead? Well, they put out some DLC. They put out some DLC for Cuphead, and the DLC has a new character, and that new character is this girl right here. I don't remember her name, like Mug Girl or something, or Teapot Girl. I don't know, but in any case, she has a few advantages over the two main characters. So yeah, she has like a little bit more life. There's a couple other things. She can, I don't remember. Okay, I don't remember. I did this a little while ago. I'm commenting on it now. But in any case, this new DLC character has some advantages over the old characters, and I would say she's almost like an easy mode for the game, but she's not at all. Like, the game is very hard regardless of who you play as. But she does have a little bit of a leg up on the other characters. And yeah. So I basically took another stab at the game once I had this DLC character. It was like, okay, maybe now I can finally, beat the game. So I took another stab at it. And the very first boss that I beat, that I was unable to beat last time, was Beppy the Clown. And now the next one is Grim Matchstick, this fight right here. This is a very tough fight, I think. I think this is one of the toughest fights in the game. This one I tried many times to beat with the other two characters, and I couldn't do it. But with the DLC character, it felt a lot more possible. And I'm using the homing laser. The homing laser, interestingly enough, actually does a lot more damage if you hit with the non-homing portion of it. So you'll notice that the homing laser shoots a projectile, and then that projectile turns into the actual homing beam. So the actual homing beam does like a fraction of the damage that the initial projectile does. So if at all possible, you want to hit the enemies with that initial projectile. But yeah. In my case, I was just trying to stay out of the boss's way. So I'm just firing away, I'm letting the homing shots do their work, and I'm just staying away from the boss. Because I just wanted to win this fight, after so many losses. But yeah, this game, Cuphead, is kind of like the ultimate evolution of Mega Man, of like Mega Man classic style platforming. All the fights in this game would be at home in a classic Mega Man game on the NES. Aside from the visuals, obviously. So I believe now I'm using the charge shot. The charge shot does a ton of damage, but obviously you have to be precise with it. So the homing laser is definitely easier to use. But yeah, I'm going for those charge shots. Looks like I've taken a lot of damage though. So, oh, there we go. All right. 1 HP left, same as the previous fight. Yeah, that fight's got a little bit in common with the dragon in Mega Man 2 on the NES. That dragon that you fight, very similar fight in a way, except this is kind of a refined version of it. So now we've got this pirate guy. I don't remember his name. Yeah, I don't remember this fight at all. But yeah, I love the animation in this game. I love the style of it. It's just a really cool game. So this character that I'm playing as, her superpower is that she can give herself one extra hit, and that's that heart that you see hovering overhead. So that basically gives me, it gives me one more hit. But the thing is that Cuphead and Mugman, the default characters, they only have 3 HP. Like, no matter what, they only have 3 HP. And there is one power-up you can get that gives them a 4th HP, but it reduces their attack power, and you don't want that. This character, on the other hand, she has 4 HP by default, without having to lower her attack power. And she can give herself a 5th HP by using her superpower. And, I mean, if the fight goes on long enough, you can give yourself a 6th HP with that as well. You just, as soon as you lose that overhead heart, just pop another overhead heart, So yeah, this character has a huge advantage, and as you can see, I just popped another one. So yeah, I'm down to 3 HP. But the thing is, I've been hit twice. I was hit twice in that fight, and yet I'm only down to 3 HP. So yeah, this character definitely makes it easier. Next boss is this bee queen lady and her flock of bees. This is another very tough boss right here. Very tough boss. And another one that I really struggled with. One of the cool things about Cuphead is that even though it's an excessively hard game, it has mission selects. So if you can't beat a particular boss, you can go try a different boss. You know what I mean? And for the most part, the game is just boss fights, so you don't even have to repeat stages or anything like that. You just pick a boss, fight them again, and if you can't win, then pick another boss, try that boss, So even when I was struggling with this game and not making much progress, I was still kind of having fun because I was able to jump around between the different bosses and try them all out, even though I was like losing to all of them. And over time, I managed to beat a couple of the bosses, I think I got about 2/3 of the way through the game on my first real attempt, my first pass at Cuphead. Over 2 years or so, I managed to beat about 2/3 of the game. I mean, if you're a pro, this is a game that can be beaten in probably 2 hours, 1 hour, I don't know, depending on how much of a pro you are. But for me, yeah, I was at it for a couple of years, and I managed to, whoa, she hit me right as I struck the finishing hit there. Yeah, it took me a while to get through 2/3 of the game. And then once I discovered the DLC and kind of got this character loaded up, I discovered that these fights were much more doable at that point. So I progressed through the last third fairly quickly in comparison. Another thing that gave me a huge leg up, besides this character being able to spawn extra hit points, which is a big advantage, another thing that gave me a leg up was I discovered that there's a code you can enter. There's a code you can enter that summons a genie, and the genie doubles your life meter for whatever your next boss fight is. And I think it lasts until you either win or lose. Not win or lose. And so I think it lasts until you win, because I'm pretty sure you keep the upgrade even if you lose. So it doubles your HP until you defeat another boss, basically. And that's a very cool code. The only thing is that you can only do it 3 times in the whole game. So you have 3 uses of this genie code that doubles your HP. So that means you have to pick 3 bosses that you want to have double HP on. And you better pick the 3 bosses that, that you have the most trouble with and that you probably can't beat without the code. You gotta choose very wisely. Because if you blow those 3 wishes on like easy bosses early in the game, and then you don't have them towards the end when you run into some really tough fights, well then you're in trouble, basically. So yeah, you have to choose very wisely when to use those 3 genie wishes. But yeah, once I discovered that there was a code you could enter to summon a genie and double your HP, that was a game changer. Because that gave me a boost of confidence more than anything else, because I knew that, hey, if I run into a boss that I absolutely really can't beat, I can just activate the code, use one of my 3 wishes. But I still had to choose extremely wisely. And I highly advise saving one of your 3 wishes for the final boss, because the final boss is exponentially harder than every other boss in this game. Now, I know that there are some Cuphead pros out there, you know, Cuphead power players. You know, they're wearing their power gloves, they're playing with power. They're scoffing at me right now, and they're saying, man, look at this guy. This guy used codes to beat Cuphead. That's not how you do it. You're supposed to get good. And to them I say, I will take whatever avenues I can to win. I will take whatever shortcuts I can to win. I will use every tool at my disposal to win. Alright? I'll get good if that's what I have to do. And I actually appreciate it when a game asks me to get good and expects things of me. That's actually exciting. But if a game's going to hand me any kind of shortcuts, I'm going to take them. And Cuphead handed me a couple of very small shortcuts, and I took them. Now, what we have right here is a DLC fight. There are a bunch of DLC fights. They seem pretty solid from what I've seen, but I've only played a few of them. So there's a bunch of DLC fights I haven't done. I'm not sure if I ever will, because I think I've pretty much had my fill of Cuphead. I think beating Cuphead was enough for me. But yeah, this is one of the DLC fights, and it's a little bit of a callback to that one fight in Yoshi's Island on the SNES, where you get eaten by that frog, I think it is, and then you're in his stomach, and you have to fight like that wibbly bit that hangs down, you know? This is basically a reference to that, considering that Cuphead is an homage to a lot of great platform games, especially Mega Man games. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was like a little homage to Yoshi's Island. Yeah, I think this is more of an homage to the classic Mega Man games in terms of difficulty and strategy and so forth. But you get a nice air dash like you do in Mega Man X2 and onward. So yeah, you got a little bit of Mega Man X controls in what is ostensibly a classic Mega Man inspired game. But I really like Cuphead. I don't think I'm ever going to play it again. Like, I think I'm good. I think I'm absolutely good. I'm just glad I beat the game. And I feel really good about beating the game. It was a fun time. But I don't think I'm ever going to play it again. Because it's just a very, very tough game. Very tough. It was a real challenge to finish it, and I did it. So, oh boy, look at this part. This part is absolutely insane. So yeah, these strands of, I guess, sound, they're green, then they turn yellow, then they turn red, and when they're red, they damage you. So yeah, basically you have to roll through them, you know, use your iframes and roll through them when they turn red. So yeah. Oh, wow, what's this? A snail under an elephant's hat. No, that's not an elephant. That's an anteater. Oh my god. A giant anteater in a hat. I think this is another DLC fight. Yeah, this is all DLC stuff. But yeah, Cuphead, fantastic game. I really enjoyed it, but it sure did eat up a lot of my time because yeah, I thought it would be a quick jaunt, and it ended up taking a couple of years for me to actually beat the thing. So yeah, and you can't over level. You can't really do much of anything to kind of mitigate the difficulty. So I found Cuphead much harder than like any FromSoft game or any Souls game. Like, this is actually really hard. This is hard in the way that the classic Mega Man games are, and like Mega Man 1 on the NES, with no real way to mitigate it. You know, you can't over level in Mega Man 1. So this is another DLC fight, this kind of Snow Witch type dude. Yeah, interesting DLC fights. I feel like the DLC fights are just a little bit less inspired. I feel like the DLC fights are just a little bit less inspired than the main game, but that's just a thought. you know. But the DLC fights in this game are really tremendous. They're great. I'm not trying to like sell them short or anything like that. They're really awesome. But yeah, I just feel like the main game is kind of like a creative apex, and the DLC feels more like the leftovers, you know. Which is, again, not to take anything away from the DLC at all. I think it's just great that we got a DLC, you know. Any game that gives us a DLC that's not too expensive and changes up the game is good by me. And this DLC really is a game changer because of the new character. So you got some cool new fights, but that's not even like the main point of the DLC. The main point is that you have this new character to play as that completely changes the game up. So yeah, very, very much worth getting this DLC. Also, it's only like $7. You know, $7 for a DLC expansion is pretty nice. Yeah, that's nothing. And it adds like maybe another 20% to the game in terms of the amount of bosses to fight. It's like an extra 20%. So yeah, $7 is a terrific price for a DLC of this level of quality. This fight is the train, the Phantom Train boss. This is one that I struggled with for a while. It's in the main game. The fights I just did were like 2 or 3 DLC fights, but now we're back in the main game, and we're going to stay in the main game for the rest of the duration because that's all I did with the DLC. But yeah, this is very late in the main game, and it is a very challenging fight, in my opinion. But I did it so many times that I feel like I got really good at it. So, you know, just a lot of repetition, basically. Just repetition until I, you know, had that second nature muscle memory of what to do. The main thing that makes this fight difficult is this cart that you're riding on, and you have to hit the little levers on the sides of the cart to actually make it move. And you frequently need to do that to avoid his attacks. So you need to learn his attacks, learn what they look like, and get out of the way very quickly. So yeah, like I just did. Oh no, oh, this is bad. Yeah, it wasn't much I could do there. But luckily I'm keeping my heart well stocked here. Okay, you want to get in the middle. Oh, took a hit. Yeah, you get a lot of opportunities to hit pink things in this fight, at least, which lets me refill my my extra heart power-up. And this boss has a lot of phases. Luckily, Cuphead is nice enough to tell you how far you got into a particular boss fight. So if you lose a boss fight, it'll tell you, you know, how close you were to a victory. So you might have been like 90% of the way when you lost. And that's really cool because then you can look at that and be like, oh wow, I was almost there. I almost had the fight won. I'm going to try again and get it this time. It really helps you kind of stay motivated because, you know, if the game didn't have that and you had no idea how close you were to actually winning, I could see that being pretty demoralizing. You know, if you lose a fight a few times and you have no idea, you know, if you're even close to a victory. But no, the game is nice enough to keep you apprised of how well you're doing, you know. And yeah, that's a huge motivating factor, and I really appreciated it a lot. Okay, here is my favorite boss in the game. Easily my favorite boss in the game. But she is also one of the toughest bosses in the game. And I think this might be one of the fights that I used my Genie Wish on, but I'm not sure. I think it was the final boss and this, and maybe the giant robot. I'm not sure. But in any case, this is Cala Maria, and she is a sea Medusa of some sort who can petrify you. And yeah, this is my favorite fight in the game. It's a super hard fight, and I'm not good at it. I just like Cala Maria. I think she's a real babe. She's got hips, and she knows it. You know, her hips are constantly swinging from side to side. You know, they're constantly moving, and she's just a real a real woman. She is such a woman. So anyway, this is more of a traditional space shooter type level. When this game isn't Mega Man, it becomes Gradius. So, yeah, tough fight, and gotta be careful of that petrification wave that she does. Alright, here is the other hardest fight in the game besides the final boss, the robot. Unfortunately, I completely missed getting a video of the robot, so all we have is that last little bit from when the trophy popped. Very unfortunate, but I had to use one of my genie wishes to defeat the robot boss, and yeah, it was worth it though, because that is a tough fight, and it's another shooter fight too. But yeah, the robot, very cool fight. Definitely going to remember that one. So this is the second to last boss, which is called King Dice. And King Dice actually consists of kind of a series of mini-boss fights, which is pretty interesting. So you've got this kind of smorgasbord of mini-bosses that you fight right before the final boss. The interesting thing about this fight is that there are a whole bunch of potential mini-bosses you can fight. You only need to fight 3 of them, but there's something like 8 or 9 possible mini-bosses that you can fight, and it depends on what you get with the dice rolls. You know, after you defeat a mini-boss, it gives you a die, and you roll the die, and that determines which mini-boss you fight. Since it's a die, I guess there are just 6 mini-bosses. No, there are 9. See the table in the background with the numbers on it? That dictates which mini-boss you fight. So you roll the die, and you want to land on the safe, the green safe. That's what you want to land on. Okay, so now we're going to mini-boss number 6. You know, I suppose if you were to roll 1s for the entire thing, you might have to fight all the mini-bosses. But that sounds crazy. I'm sure there are pros that have done that, though, like on purpose. But in my case, I'm trying to fight as few mini-bosses as possible. Yeah, so none of these mini-bosses are particularly vicious or anything. They're generally considerably easier than your average boss in this game. But the fact that you have to fight a bunch of them in a row on the same life meter is definitely an issue. Alright, let's see. Gotta be real careful. Gotta be real careful here. Excellent. Alright, what mini-boss do we have now? An 8-ball? So, after you defeat, you know, these mini-bosses, and after you get to the end of the table, you still have to fight King Dice himself, who's like a whole boss. So, I imagine if you lose to King Dice, you have to go through all of this over again, which sounds absolutely horrendous. I mean, I beat King Dice on my first try, so I don't know. I don't know if it makes you do all this again, but I'm sure it does. Yeah, it makes total sense that it would make you do all this again, which is ridiculously punishing, and one of the reasons why, you know, I probably wouldn't play Cuphead again, even though I really like it. I just think it's too punishing, you know. It's too much. But I liked it and I enjoyed it, and especially for people that love Mega Man like I do, this is a terrific game. At least, you know, give it a try if it's ever, you know, available to you. If you ever have the opportunity to play it for a few minutes, you know, give it a whirl. But yeah, for people that love classic games, you know, NES hard kind of games, old Mega Mans, things like that, Cuphead's awesome. So yeah, this is the actual fight with King Dice. Most important thing here is to get against the edges of the screen so that you're behind his hand, because then you can avoid all of his attacks. See? I can just stay back here and actually pelt him with the homing shot. And then you have to switch sides. I just ran into one of his cards. That was really just That was a wire sponge level mistake right there. So yeah, you got to get behind the hand and just keep doing that. That's basically the trick to defeating King Dice. And luckily I knew the trick beforehand, which is why I beat him on the first try. So yeah, once you've gotten the hang of this, it's no problem at all. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if the game's gonna play mean and make you do the whole thing over again if you lose, then I'm gonna cheese it and I'm gonna avoid this guy's attacks. You know, if the game's gonna cheese, then I'm gonna cheese. All right, King Dice is defeated. So I think that just leaves the final boss. Yep, the final boss is the devil, and he has fur, I think. He has like black fur. I never really thought of the devil as having fur. So if you accept his offer of joining him, then all of your characters basically burn in hell and they become like his servants, including the new DLC character. There she is in the middle. Alright, so now we're not going to join him and we're actually going to do the fight. Yes, this is the hardest fight in the game, and it's not even close. And as you can see, I'm still using the homing shot, and I used a genie wish to get me 8 HP. That's 8 HP plus whatever I can conjure up using her superpower. Believe it or not, I still had a tough time with this fight. I think it took me 3 tries. That's right, 3 tries, even with 8 HP. I mean, I'm sure I could have done it with, you know, the normal 4 HP, you know, or 3 HP if I'm playing as Cuphead himself. I'm sure I could have done it, but it would have taken a lot more tries and probably would have been at it for weeks, and I just didn't really feel like doing that. So, you know, I popped that genie code and I did not regret it. I feel absolutely no guilt about this at all. So that first phase of the fight is just the kind of the intro. That's the easy part. And now the second phase of the fight is the actual really challenging final boss. And I'm already down to 4 HP, so if I hadn't entered the genie code, I would already be dead, basically. Unbelievable. Unbelievable! Yeah, this fight just throws everything at you. It throws the kitchen sink at you. I'm trying to hit him with the main bullet as opposed to the homing bullet because it does so much more damage. Okay, looking good. Down to 3 HP. So I'm officially at 2 HP. I'm officially well beyond dead now. I've taken 2 more damage than I would have been able to take without the code. 3 more damage. I'm down to 1 HP. Okay. Okay, wow. Okay, that was very disturbing. That last little bit with him, like, weeping. That was extremely disturbing. And that's it. That's the end of Cuphead. And it's really good to finally get this game beaten, which I, did a while back. But it's also really good to finally kind of cover the end of it in a YouTube video, because I did a few videos of it before where it didn't go that well for me. So it's really cool to cover it again and actually have some good things to report, actually have some victories to show you. And yeah, Cuphead, fantastic game. Really enjoyed playing it, really enjoyed talking about it. And thank you for joining me yet again, and I'll see you soon.